Hi everyone. It is almost 8:30 on a Sunday night and I am off work tomorrow because of the snowy weather. So let's do some cascade editing, right? Let's get to it. So the example today is we have a folder and we want to change the index page on that folder. So I'm going to show you how to do that and how to unpublish and republish everything so that there's no broken floating links anywhere and so that everything looks like it should on the live website. So let me share my screen. We're going to go to Cascade. So I logged in using my NetID with my capital C. And the folder that we're going to be editing for is Residence, Life, and Housing. So I'm going to go down to that folder. Of course, I went too far. And I believe that the folder we want to edit is this frequently asked questions. So it's this resources page that we want to make the new index, and then we want to make frequently asked questions a page inside of that folder. So what that means to me is that frequently asked questions should be this index page so that when you click on that, you should see that accordion. So the first step for me is going to be to unpublish this. You can unpublish as you go, but this is just to cover my bases and make sure that everything is unpublished before I move things around. What happens if you don't unpublish content and you just move things around is that someone could still stumble upon the URLs in search engines. So this URL of Residence, Life, and Housing frequently asked questions index could still exist, even if it might not exist in Cascade. So that's why it's important to unpublish. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, you can do this as you go along, but it's just a safety precaution that I like to take. And I'm going to unpublish from production and staging. If you do have any more questions as far as why it's important to unpublish content or how that works when you're deleting and moving things around, please send me a message and we can talk in more detail about it. Probably might make more sense when it's not Sunday at 8:30 at night. So I'm going to go ahead and unpublish that. You're going to get this unpublish message below. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this greater than symbol to be inside of the folder. And I'm going to start renaming. So all of this has been unpublished. This index page, I'm going to rename by right-clicking. And I'm going to make this frequently asked questions. I'm going to use the automatic workflow so that it renames, I believe. So what this means is that this folder is essentially without an index page. I'm going to go back to that folder now, just clicking on my content. So anyone that's on the website and try to click on this folder would just get an error message that they wouldn't be able to land anywhere. So then what I'm going to do is grab this resources page. Oh, I didn't have to actually click on it, but I'm going to rename this to be the new index. I'm going to continue to use the workflow. Normally when I work as an admin, I don't use workflows, but I want to make sure that this is exactly how you all are seeing it to make sure that there isn't any issue. So we're going to push this through workflow. I'm going to click on that index page again. So we have an index page, that's the old resources page, a frequently asked questions, which was the previous index, and then family resources. The last step is to make sure that this frequently asked questions is this resources page. Again, we always want to make sure that this URL and this folder matches, everything matches as far as names. So I'm going to right click on the folder and click rename. And I'm going to make this resources and I'm going to choose production and staging. And again, this part is checked off, unpublished content. And this is making sure that it takes off this URL from anywhere so that people can't land on this content, even though it's no longer in Cascade. So never uncheck to unpublish content. When in doubt, just unpublish resources. So I'm going to rename. Now, if I were to go on the live website, everything would still look the same as I had. It would just be a lot of 404 errors. So what I need to do now, normally if I just change things inside of this folder, I would need to only publish this folder. However, since I renamed this to be resources, I'm gonna publish the entire residence life and housing folder. So I'm gonna right click and click publish in production and staging. So once it does that, I need to refresh as well so that you see that this actually says resources. And let's see that publish message. I'm gonna refresh regardless, just so that we see that folder with the right name. Oh, and I missed a step. I missed a step, everyone. So sorry. So I renamed the folder. This is actually a good thing. I renamed the folder as far as URL structure. It says resources, but I forgot to edit the display name. So I'm gonna click edit on the folder. And this is the part that I need to edit. So display names what shows, this is display names what appears in the left-hand navigation. Titles what appears at the top of the URL. So you have usually CSU Pueblo, you have CSU Pueblo, page name or folder name, and then page name. So let me get out of Cascade to try and show you. This, for example, I guess it's the catalog. Let me just go to a random page. This should have CSU Pueblo art, CSU Pueblo. With the way that we renamed the folder, you'll see resources as the folder name at the top as well. More information than you probably wanted to know. So I'm gonna go ahead and republish this residence life and housing folder again. And the reason I'm doing that once more is so that that updated folder name appears in all of the left-hand navigation. Otherwise, you might just see it when you go to this URL, but you might not see it everywhere else on the residence life and housing site. So we got that publish notification. One little thing that I like to do just to make sure everything looks correctly, I click on more, and then I go to live at the bottom here. Fun fact that I didn't realize this was a feature until we went remote. In COVID, I didn't know you could just click live and open the page on the live page on a new tab. But now I see that I have resources. The resources is the index page. If I click everywhere else, I can still find, there's no 404 errors. I still find the pages just fine. And if I go anywhere else on the residence life and housing website, maybe our publish didn't go through. Still says frequently asked questions. Why? Might not have published already. Let's see if it published. But essentially we did that last publish to make sure this didn't happen. Nope, looks like it didn't go through. So the error that I'm seeing is that this still says frequently asked questions versus resources. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure everything looks okay inside of Cascade. I'm gonna click on somewhere else inside of Cascade to make sure it says resources and not frequently asked questions. Yeah, it does say resources. So this should too. But we're just gonna republish one more time and see if that's the fix. Sorry, this is a longer video, but I'm glad we're running through issues because everyone knows it looks perfect on a video, but it might not be perfect when you're actually implementing this yourselves without any support. So let's make sure that this did go through. I'm waiting for that little notification that says publish, your folder has been published. As we pause quietly. So I don't know if you guys all have this publish queue feature, but this tells me how far something is from being published. So we'll just give it a little longer, but this essentially what I'm looking for is that once that folder does get published, the entire residence life and housing, anywhere that I go on this residence life and housing folder, it does say resources. It was just lagging a little. Why? So in all of them, it says, see, this is interesting. In all of the different folders, this says resources, but in current students, it tells me frequently asked questions. So let's actually make sure that, I'm gonna pause this. Let's make sure that everything with that current students folder is set up correctly. So this is what I would do if you guys were all to send me an email saying, hey, this doesn't look right on the website. I'm gonna make sure that all of that can get published correctly. Let's look at this index. This index tells me resources too, so maybe it's just this folder that I need to publish. Current students, instead of publishing the entire residence life and housing folder, since it's only current students that's giving me that issue, let's see if that solves it. And it gives us a little bit less of a publish amount since it's only the select pages versus everything under here, everything under image. So again, sorry, this is turning into a longer video, but I'm glad that you guys are seeing some of the troubleshooting things that we do. Very basic stuff. So yeah, now we have current students and we see resources here. So when in doubt, I guess just try and just test around, I guess, the different folders inside of that root folder that you're editing to make sure everything looks correctly, and try and find maybe the single source where something might not have published correctly. But we're always here for you guys as a resource. So feel free to send any questions to myself or Jennifer through the web dev account, because there are the little quirks inside of Cascade that we're happy to work with you guys through, just since we see them all the time. And for myself, having worked in this position 2 years, you see that I'm still experiencing them. So don't be shy to ask. Okay, I will leave you all. Thank you for your time, and we will talk soon. Bye.